one of the biggest things that I've come to appreciate, I'd say over the last, ah, I don't even know. It doesn't make sense. The thing I was just about to say doesn't actually make sense. And that's okay. I think that's actually the biggest thing right there. Being okay with who I am right now. And yeah, there's a part of me that would like to redo that knows that that is a bad way to start a video. And yeah, I could start over. I could try it again. But ow! Oh my god, cat. My cat just tried jumping up my leg. And hi. Would you like to say something? This cat is not the brightest sometimes. And she'll do these kind of half effort jumps. She doesn't really commit to it except with her claws. So she'll half-ass the launch, and then she'll full-ass the claws. And it's a really painful combination. I'm wearing shorts, so she just kind of made it halfway up my leg and then dragged her way back down. I don't know what to do here. I need to kick her out. This is the best video I've ever made. Ever. Go. To be honest, I forgot she was in my office. She was being quiet and, pleasant. And I forgot to lock her out. The fact is, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I get little hints that help move me in a better direction, hopefully. Sometimes I get hints that move me in a bad direction. Those are fun. But I don't know anything. And it's so funny that the psychology behind me wanting to know everything and how I have a need, a perceived need to appear really smart, to appear really good looking, to appear really healthy and fit, to just to have all of the appearances. And as I've developed my awareness of that, I've also been able to develop my acceptance of that. And that's sort of like the full circle part of self-development as I see it now. I mean, that saying it like that makes it sound like I know, like I've done it and I've finished and now I can describe it, and that's not the case. I'm just in the process of doing something that will last for the rest of my life. As of right now, it feels like the full circle part of self-development where I've gotten back to kind of where I was, but with some awareness. And what that does for me is that I get to see things as they happen in my psyche, and I get to accept them instead of seeing them and fighting them or hiding them or attacking as a way of deflecting, and it's had some interesting effects so far. For one thing, it makes me laugh when I think that way. When I actually go through the process of seeing a part of myself that I could perceive as bad or negative or not ideal, but then realizing that that's part of me now, and that I am, this is a new one for me, perfectly lovable and acceptable just the way I am, including those perceived flaws. And so I get to tell myself, I'm okay. Even with my ego, even with my bad YouTube intros, even with, all of the issues that I see with myself, those all get wrapped up and included under the umbrella of perfectly lovable and acceptable, good enough, just the way I am. And that is a very different way of feeling about myself compared to just a couple of months ago. And it took about a year of concerted effort. Now, not to mention my whole lifetime leading up to that year, but especially a year of getting help, actually reaching out and getting someone who has traveled this terrain before to help me. A year of that, plus a lot of self-directed exploration, doing a lot of things with the intention of opening myself up emotionally, because I knew I was blocked. I knew that I was not getting access to the full emotional picture, and I wanted it. And doing all of these various things to go towards a goal that I wasn't even sure how to define it. I didn't have a clear idea. I knew I wanted to be more genuine. I wanted to be more expressive. I wanted to feel more. And I wanted people to understand me. And the way I had been was this kind of blocked up, neutral-faced, never affected person. And so naturally, people didn't get me, because how could they? I was preventing myself from coming out. And instead, I was either giving nothing, or I was giving this idea of what I thought people wanted, which of course was reflected back at me in my relationships. I have not enjoyed very deep relationships. In fact, I've kind of felt like, man, why am I not getting to enjoy deep relationships? I've had some for a little bit, but I know that there's more. I had this instinctual, desire. I was like, no, there's got to be more to this. I'm not getting the full picture out of a lot of things, out of life. I'm not getting the full picture. And now all of this is kind of a story, right? Like I can hypothesize, I can make all of these theories. I don't really know what led to what. It's hard, I wish I would stop saying, That's okay. But there were some intentional strategies that I took to open up and to start to feel what's on the inside. Dancing was one. Getting a men's coach, learning how to grieve, really getting intimate with grieving. Using marijuana was huge, just as a way of I viewed it as a way of flipping over out of left brain and into right brain, where I could really quiet down the chatter and feel things again. And it also turned down some of my self-consciousness. And so through some of these really powerful factors, I've been feeling more, which has led to a lot of change and in a way, a lot of uncertainty, which is scary. And there's been a lot of uncertainty, fear, just kind of tectonic movements in my inner life. And that I've always been grateful for it after the dust has settled, after each big event. I'm always like, oh my God, well, I'm so glad I'm here now and not there anymore. But the process of making that change is always scary. Like, it hurts. And so much of my life was about avoiding the hurt, avoiding the scary. But that's where all of my growth has been, was in the painful, scary stuff. And so now I'm starting to build a better association between the painful process and the rewarding result. And as I continue to develop that connection, I will more easily and naturally align myself on a path that includes the difficult growth, but I know leads to the rewarding results, the rewards. And I'd actually like to describe one of them that was recent for me. I had a little bit of time, and for me that means like I need, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours kind of thing, with privacy, and I smoked some marijuana. And I used to view marijuana as a recreational drug. I used it as a way to increase or augment the fun that I could have. And it worked. It was fun. But lately, because of this emotional work I've been doing, I think marijuana has a different effect on me. And it's more powerful, it's more profound, and it's spiritual. And so now, instead of recreational, I look at it and I think, oh my God, it's like it's a vehicle. It's a spaceship that I can get in and I can explore my own inner universe, because I can do something like smoke a joint and put on some music, and I can go into my head and explore parts of my emotional landscape, if you will. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like if you have not had an experience like that before, oh gosh, how would I even start to describe that? It's sort of like going into your memory bank and reliving memories or something. And now I haven't actually done it like that, but it allowed me access into parts of my feelings where I could connect really strongly through things like empathy with people in my life. And a big one for me, because my dad died a few years ago, has been connecting with him after he died. And so connecting with my feelings about him, and feeling like I can be open and honest with him in my head, and and effectively grieve for him and understand things about him. Using my memory of him and his history, I can now gain new understanding and insights about him, especially in this context with the help of marijuana. And so in this particular session that I did, this was like, I don't know, 10 days ago, a week ago, something like that, I got to see him and me differently. And instead of thinking about him as being dead and gone, or even being like, oh, he's a spirit and he's here with me kind of thing, this time I actually got to feel in a very, I don't know what to say, a very real way, that he was actually a part of me. Genetically, like he's literally in me, because I'm, the genetic material is 50% from him. And I got to, I just got to understand that in a way that I hadn't before. I actually felt like him. And I could hear my voice. I was like I was crying at this time, kind of vacillating between crying and laughing. And I was noticing that I sounded like him in just a way that it really made it click. And I was like, oh my God, he's here. He's not gone. He's me. And in a way, this is part of him talking right now. And that's just, it was blowing my mind to really feel that and to get it on a visceral level. And then, my mind went to a scarier place. It went to, I recognize, see, this is a marijuana trip that is maybe more akin to something like LSD, where this was a hallucinogenic trip. I had used enough of it in one dose that it was strong, and I'd been doing these, all this emotional work, and I think that amplifies the effects. I think I did a little bit of breath work in the moment too, which, working on breath work with marijuana can have some compounding effects. And so, I was pretty out there. But after getting that stronger connection to him, realizing that he is me, he is in me, like literally right here, got him, then I saw something scary. And that was that I could sense that his trauma was also in me. I could feel it. I could almost kind of see it, and that scared me. And I just, I don't get scared very much in a normal day-to-day context. You kind of forget what it's like to be scared. And this was sort of like being scared in a nightmare. But I could sense that his trauma was inside of me, and it was accessible by me. Like I had the option of confronting it, of witnessing it. And in that moment, I was too scared. And I said no. I couldn't face it, and I decided to move on to other topics in my head, because I was too scared by what I didn't know about his trauma in his life. And I know that he had a lot of trauma. It affected him deeply for his entire life, and it was a constant specter in our whole family, because it would affect him so deeply and could come out kind of at any time, and he would be affected so deeply. And I knew that the pain that he had experienced as a child was really extreme. And so knowing that, without necessarily knowing a lot of the specifics, I was just scared shitless, and I didn't want to face it. But I knew it was there. And I actually had a similar experience then, thinking or sensing my mother's trauma. And I had the same reaction. I said no. I said I can't do it right now. Which on one hand I felt a little bit guilty about, maybe a little ashamed that I wasn't strong enough in the moment to do it, to feel it. But then I also forgave myself because I knew that it's okay that I said no in that moment. That's just where I was at. That's what I was capable of right then. And the reason why I was able to do that, to view myself in that way of being okay despite falling short of what I thought I should be able to do, was because of another revelation or insight that I had in that same session. And that was that I felt I had the experience of it's like I was shown what love actually is. On this trip, on this journey, part of the tour that I was given was, oh, by the way, this is what love is. And the way it showed me was by making me feel the complete and total need to be loved. And at this point in my trip, I was basically in the fetal position on the ground, and I felt what it was like to be a baby and to be in need of complete and total acceptance and love and care. And it just broke me completely. Like I wasn't just crying like a baby in that moment. My lived experience was that I was a baby. Like I became a baby, and I cried exactly as a baby does. And I've got a 2-month-old. Like I am familiar with this style of crying. I cried like a little baby, needing to be picked up by a mother. And it was terrifying to be in such need of care and love, of total reassurance, and not getting it in that moment. I was alone in my house. It was terrifying, which gave me a whole new appreciation to what a baby feels and what they need. But for me, it was like, oh my God, I get it. In this moment, I need to be loved. And I understood, I got that need extended to every part of me, every single cell. Like, I mean, I was getting visuals of like the molecules of my body and needing every single one of them to be accepted exactly as they are. And that's when I understood what love is. That my need to be accepted right then, like truly accepted, that was it. I was like, oh, that is what I need, and that's what everyone needs. That's what everyone in my family needs. What my babies need. That's what my wife needs. That's what my sister and my mother need. That's what everybody needs. And then came all the understanding about what I was doing, because I did not feel, I knew that I was not in that loving care. That I was not actually loving myself. And This whole trip was like revelation after revelation. It was mind-blowing. Oh man, like you get so acclimated to regular everyday life. You're like on the internet, like, oh, it's mind-blowing, like there's an arrow in the FedEx logo. What? Dumb shit like that. This was actually mind-blowing. To feel it, to see it, to be shown, to like have my face shoved up to the glass, to like look inside, like, hey, it's like this. Take a look and feel it. Even though I knew intellectually that I didn't really fully love myself, I didn't understand what that meant. I hadn't actually felt it. I just kind of knew for some reason. But feeling it in this way and accepting and seeing like, oh, not only do I not sense total unconditional love in my immediate environment, I don't even give it to myself. I have the view that I am not perfectly lovable. I do that to myself. Because you either feel like you need to be better to deserve love, or you deserve love before you're better, right? Like you get two options here. Like either you have to wait until you're fucking perfect before you love yourself, or you're allowed to be loved even with your flaws. And it was just like, oh my God, I need to be loved, and I need to love myself first. I need that. And I hadn't extended it to myself. I hadn't actually looked at myself and said, yeah, of course you're self-conscious. You have an ego. You're all of these flaws put together. You have effectively infinite flaws. And so trying to get rid of them all before you love yourself is, well, it's futile, and it's kind of ridiculous. And so I got to that point in that trip where I saw that I didn't have to do anything else before I started loving myself. There was no item on the checklist to do. Not even one. That the love that I could have for myself had no minimum requirement. I didn't have to continue seeing my men's coach. I didn't have to keep doing all this emotional work. I didn't have to improve my romantic relationship. I didn't have to improve my familial relationships. I didn't have to be successful on YouTube. I didn't have to make a certain amount of money a year. I didn't have to anything. I think I must have timed out on my camera. I just got a little notification on my computer. I wonder where it dropped out. Probably while I was going on and on about how I don't need to do anything before I can love myself. That even though I've had that insight now, I've had that experience. Like, I got it. Came in, I got it. Transmission received. I still fall back into old habits. I still put up barriers to my own happiness. I still have an ego. I'm still self-conscious. All of those things. And that's okay. That's okay. I don't think there was a scenario where I have an experience like that and then I am perfect from then on. That's not it. That's not the game. The game is realizing that from then on, it's okay. I am okay. Even though I'm not perfect still. And I never will be. And so that's been, one of the biggest parts of what has changed for me through this process of growth. This kind of this most recent era of upheaval, personal upheaval. And so I'm a lot more accepting of myself. Not totally, absolutely not totally. I want to be. I beat myself up for not being perfect still. Like I feel like because I had that experience, man, I should have learned it and gotten it totally. Why don't I love myself? I need to. I've even felt the pressure to like pretend like now it's all better, but it's not. It's not at all, and that's okay. I've noticed that I take things less personally now, which is such a relief. Things don't affect me the same way. If things are especially stressful in my home life, and let's say my wife is upset, reasonably upset about something, just the overload of stress, from having 2 kids, and we're learning and it's hard. I don't take it personally, or at least not nearly so, nearly as much as I used to. Now I can view it sort of objectively and say, oh yeah, you're upset because of this, and yeah, that makes sense. Let me do something to help out, instead of this like feeling attacked and feeling like it's me and my fault, and therefore I have to counterattack, and I have to defend myself and all of that. Instead, it's just sort of like, oh yeah, I get it. Let's see how we can help. But it doesn't send me for this just total emotional loop that it used to. That right there is amazing. So I want to help. Now maybe that's my ego, but I do want something like this video to be helpful in some way. I want it to be, if you haven't already come away from this with something useful for you, then what I would say is that the painful, scary stuff is where you need to go. That's where I need to go. Because I had this yearning, like, it's not good. What is this right now? There's something better that I'm missing out on, and I want it. And it's on the other side of the painful, scary stuff. The painful, scary conversations, the painful, scary realizations and insights. Unfortunately, those are basically unending, so I think I get to do this forever until I die. But getting an idea of being shown, I'm grateful. It's like, who do I thank? Like somebody showed me what love is. And it all came from inside, but it's I know it's going to make me a better husband. It's going to make me a better father, better friend. I will be better because of it. And so I'm very grateful for that experience that was made possible by, well, everything in my life leading up to that moment. I wish I could pin it on something like, oh, it's just marijuana. If you go and get yourself ripped on marijuana, you probably won't have this same experience because you didn't have all of the other ingredients that I had to make my experience the way that it was. But you can start following your nose, and you can have faith in your own innate intelligence and innate your instincts, because that's what I've been doing with help, as in I met and subsequently hired a men's coach. With help, you can experience amazing things just inside of your own head that will blow your mind, that will change your life, that will make you think, oh my God, I almost didn't do this. And I would have missed out. I wouldn't have known what life kind of could have been like, or maybe should have been. It's a tricky word, fraught, but the amount of wisdom that we all possess inside of us. I I don't know how to describe it, because in order to describe it, I'd be putting limitations on it or something. It's limitless. And so much of our lived experience in this modern weird culture of ours has created limits in our brains, limits that we believe are just part of us. And I want to get rid of those. I want to reevaluate them. I want to know what happens when I'm no longer fettered by these artificial restraints. They're not inherently human. They're not inherently mine. But boy, is it scary to even acknowledge in a genuine, honest way that they're there. Like when you see them, it's sort of like, whoa, I ain't touching that. I might fall off a cliff. It's like it's keeping you alive kind of thing. That's what it feels like. When you go on these wild trips, it feels like a threat to your life. I don't know if I have any more right now. But maybe you got something out of that. And if so, I'm happy. And if not, I'm happy too. Because, oh man, YouTube is a weird way to create some externality of your inside world. Because it does. It reflects what's going on inside of me, no matter what I create, right? It's impossible to create something that doesn't reflect me. And it's, in my case, it's kind of chaotic and unorganized and raw and kind of weird, and also has a lot of, ego and self-consciousness wrapped up into it. It's everything. It's me. As much as it's kind of painful to admit that, because when I look at my own channel, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But that's kind of just the state that I'm in right now. And that's okay. All right. God, I love you to death, and I hope you have a great day. And maybe you can take a few moments out of that day to reflect on how just completely and totally deserving of love you are from yourself, that you deserve and are you are completely and totally, I can't even think of the right word because I'm tired. I don't know. You deserve it all. All of the love that is capable to be given to someone, you and I deserve that from ourselves first. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to keep trying that and give it a shot for yourself and see what it's like just for a moment. Just try an experiment. Like, what if I did love myself completely, including all of my flaws? Don't try and ignore the flaws. Put them all together and see if you can find some compassion for yourself, because they all exist for perfectly valid reasons, and every part of you is completely and totally justified, and so completely and totally lovable. Okay, I'm overdoing it. I love you. Have a great day.